Our communities.
I call Kevin Haig.
Thank you very much, Mr. Chair. Interesting contribution, though, that was from Todd McLeod. It didn't relate at all to the parts that we're actually debating. Sir, I want to make a contribution about price, because in these parts there are a number of SOPs and measures that relate to price that we are considering. Literally within hours of the Law Commission's report being received by this Parliament, the Prime Minister, John Key, said one thing there is literally no appetite for is to increase excise taxes. Well, sir, that was an interesting comment from him, given that 75% of the submissions to the Select Committee favoured increasing price as a mechanism for reducing consumption. And the Health Sponsorship Council that in the earlier stages of this debate has been referred to on a number of occasions, found that 59% of respondents, of New Zealanders, agreed or strongly agreed with raising the price of cheap alcohol, and a further 19% were neutral about it. So there is an overwhelming majority of New Zealanders, in fact, entirely contrary to the Prime Minister's statement, who do favour the use of price. So I guess we wonder, why would the Prime Minister say that? Why would he say something that is so at odds with the reality? And I guess we come back to the sad fact, as with so many other parts of this bill, that in fact what the government is doing with this alcohol reform bill is largely to reflect the interests and perspective of the large players in the alcohol and hospitality industries. And that is why, sir, this bill makes essentially no contribution on the use of price as a mechanism to reduce excessive consumption. On the topic of tobacco, Mr. Chair, there is a consensus of all parties in this House on the use of price as a means of reducing tobacco consumption and thereby producing health and other gains for New Zealand. So why is it, sir? Why is it, sir, that the government is so opposed to the use of price when the evidence is absolutely overwhelming? And I cite, for example, the US research from Wagemar et al. That combined over 100 studies that showed that price is the single most effective way of reducing excessive consumption of alcohol. It's perverse, sir, that government is so reluctant to use that mechanism. Sir, there are SOPs before the House to introduce a health levy, Marion Street's SOP, which we'll support, but also to reduce minimum pricing and excise tax changes, including mine to increase excise taxes by 50%, as was recommended by the Law Commission. And there are pluses and minuses of both the minimum price and the excise tax routes. As Judith Collins has said, minimum price has a lot going for it, but the minimum price results in increased profitability for the liquor companies. On the other hand, in relation to excise tax, small increases in excise tax are easily absorbed by the big parts of the alcohol industry. And across-the-board excise tax increases have a disproportionate impact on small and craft producers of alcoholic drinks. We don't want to do that. But what all of the evidence says, sir, is this, that actually by sensibly combining minimum pricing regime and excise tax increases, we can have the best of both worlds, in which we actually achieve the reduction in alcohol consumption that we want without creating distortions in the industry itself. Why is this important, sir? Well, it's important because crucially tied up with the consumption of alcohol in this country is its cheap nature. It's possible to buy alcohol at something like 70 cents per standard drink in New Zealand. Now, that is ridiculously small, and the work by the New Zealand Drug Foundation indicates that on the average wage, someone would need to work for just 7 minutes in order to gain the income necessary to buy the alcohol that would take them up to the limit for drink driving that Ian Lees-Galloway has just spoken about, which is, I agree with Ian Lees-Galloway, a limit that is already too high.
I call Alfred Naro.
Thank you, Mr Chairman. I stand to take a call on the